Hey everybody! So I decided to do my case study on multiple intelligences and eidetic photographic memory. So this is Noah. He just recently turned 10 years old in August and is in the 4th grade. And for this case study, I decided to test Noah based on Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences because I feel that he displays various of them. And as a bonus, I also decided to test him for eidetic memory skills, or better known as his photographic memory. So, just a little bit about Howard Gardner. He was a psychologist that is best known for his 8 theories of multiple intelligences. He argued that there were specific types of intelligences, not just one general one. His studies focused on children who were talented in one or more of the areas, and he identified the following 8 specific intelligences according to criteria based on set developmental history and psychometric findings. So his first intelligence is linguistic intelligence, which is the ability to speak and write well. His second intelligence is logical mathematical, which is the ability to use logic and mathematical skills to solve problems. His third intelligence is spatial, which is the ability to think and reason about objects in 3 dimensions. His fourth is musical, which is the ability to perform and enjoy music. His fifth is kinesthetic, or body, which is the ability to move the body in sports, dance, or other physical activities. His sixth is interpersonal, which is the ability to understand and interact effectively with others. His seventh is intrapersonal, which is the ability to have insight into the self. And his last one is naturalistic, which is the ability to recognize, identify, and understand animals, plants, and other living things. So I decided to test Noah on these intelligences, but rather than testing him on all 8, I just decided to focus on 2 of them just because there's so many and it would kind of take forever. So I gave him a multiple intelligence test worksheet kind of thing that allowed him to rate himself on a scale of 0 to 3, 3 being the highest, which it means exhibiting the behavior strongly, on whether or not he thought the statement applied to him. So each of the 8 sections contained 6 statements that related to the intelligence it was portraying. The worksheet at the end came with a bar graph where I could see how Noah scored in each intelligence, and after filling in the chart, which you can see on the slide here, I decided to test him on the 2 he scored the highest in, which was his logical mathematical as well as his bodily kinesthetic intelligences. So, just to review, according to Howard Gardner, someone who displays this type of intelligence has the ability to use logic and mathematical skills to solve problems. In an interview with Noah's mother, she explained to me that Noah scores a 95% or better on his math test in school, and in her opinion is extremely intelligent for his age in this category. He knows all of his multiplication facts without any sort of hesitation and is extremely good at mental math. And he absolutely loves being tested on them. He constantly asks people at home to test him, she was explaining to me. And so for the test, I decided that it would be best for me to give him an end-of-the-year math test to see how well he would do. And just a reminder that Noah just entered the 4th grade around a month beforehand. But this is just a quick clip of Noah solving one of the questions on the test, and just the speed at which he solves the question to me was just fascinating, and I think it really proved how smart in math he can be. So the results of the test were exactly what I imagined they would be, based off the information I gained from the parents. Out of 30 questions on the test, Noah got only 3 wrong, and the 3 questions that he did end up get wrong were things that he hadn't even begun to learn the concepts for yet, which were long division and the difference between parallel and perpendicular lines. What really surprised me was that there were also parts of the test that he did not know how to do, but figured out how to do by himself using a method he already knew how to do. So he used repeated addition and dots to solve what 235 times 13 was, rather than just solving it the old-fashioned way. This test, in my opinion, showed that Noah has high mathematical and logical intelligence just because of the different methods he was able to use to solve questions he didn't know how to do. So after testing for logical and mathematical intelligence, bodily and kinesthetic is next. And again, this intelligence is all about the child's ability to move in sports, dance, or other physical activities. In the parent interview, she explained that Noah is an extremely active child and absolutely loves to play sports, both inside and outside of her house. and he plays on the town's recreational league in soccer, which he is currently in season for. He also plays baseball, and when he has free time, he loves playing with the neighbors who are children around his own age, and they play football, hockey, ride bikes. She also explains that he loves to go running with his sister and has a lot of endurance, and she considers him very athletic and added that he is also extremely competitive. So for this test, I decided to attend one of his soccer games because I felt that it would be a good measure of his intelligence. So these next two clips are just real quick. Noah's the one with the ball right now, and in the next clip you can see that he's the only one really running after the ball and getting in there and being aggressive. So with the help of the parent interview, I was able to see Noah's love and competitive spirit when playing sports, which to me proved why he scored so high in this category on the written test. His competitiveness is evident in the videos I just showed, and also he scores around 2 to 3 goals a game, according to both his coach and the parent. Now, not all theories are perfect, that's obvious, but there are some criticisms to Gardner's multiple intelligences theory. The first one is that there is very little research that has actually been done to test the validity of his theory, and when the theory was first made public in 1983, the first empirical study to test the theory was not published until 23 years later, and the results didn't even support the theory. This theory is also really hard to measure/assess for, as there are no guidelines for any type of assessment of the intelligences, and some people claim that his multiple intelligences are not intelligences at all, but just merely skills. So now moving on to the eidetic and photographic memory part of this case study, and that's defined as the ability to recall pages of text or numbers or similar objects in great detail. It's typically only found in young children and in about 2% of children aged 6 to 12. And also, if it's not nurtured and developed, it can disappear if it's not being reinforced almost daily or constantly by the age of 6. So when testing for these types of memories, the text doesn't really go into detail about this type of memory, but I felt it played a very important role in Noah's intelligence, so I decided to do some digging on the subject of my own. In an interview with the parents, I learned that since the age of 5, Noah has been obsessed with NFL football. He began to memorize the scores of games, often reenacting them play by play in the living room. He also has a journal dedicated to scores, plays of the games, and so on. And they explained that at one point he could recall games from pre- and postseason games from any year and any team, as well as knew the score of every Super Bowl. So I decided to test both of these theories and gave Noah a set of 10 games ranging from 2003 to 2008. I included who was playing, who played, as well as the date the game occurred, and asked that he would tell me what the score was and who won.
Colts won 20-3.
On January 9th, 2016, the Chiefs played the Texans. What was the score?
Chiefs won 3-0.
So just a quick background before I get into the results of the test. I went to go give Noah the test without him looking at the paper, but he got super discouraged because he hadn't looked at his scores in about 6 months. So he was a little rusty and didn't get any correct the first time I asked him. So he asked if he could look at the paper for 1 minute. So I actually timed him for 1 minute. He looked at the paper real quick, handed me back the paper, and I retested him. And after just looking at the scores for just 1 minute, Noah was able to get 9 out of the 10 questions completely correct. To me, this proved that he truly had a photographic memory, but just to be sure that it wasn't a fluke or anything, or if he saw my paper while I was testing him, I decided to give him yet another test, but this time test him on the Super Bowl. I gave him 20 questions, and they ranged from Super Bowl 1 to 50, and at his own request, he didn't want to see the paper because he said he didn't need to see it. So once again, I taped him and asked him questions. I gave him Super Bowl number as well as who played, and asked him to tell me who won and what the score was. Super Bowl 1, Packers versus Chiefs.
35-10.
Who won?
Packers, obviously. It's a classic.
Super Bowl 42, Giants versus Patriots.
Super Bowl 42.
Giants versus Patriots.
What year was it?
I don't know.
2012 or 2008?
I don't know, it's just the 42.
It was either 17 to 14 or 21 to 17.
Okay, who won?
The Giants won both. If you put both of them on.
Super Bowl 30, Patriots versus Seahawks.
What? Oh, yeah, 28 to 24. Patriots won because Malcolm Butler got a pick at the 1 yard line. That ruined the game for Seattle with 20 seconds on the clock.
So hopefully now from those videos you realize that Noah knows his Super Bowl facts extremely well and that he also loves the Giants, of course. Out of the 20 questions I asked him, he got 16 completely correct, and just 3 he got one of the numbers of the score wrong, but knew who won. There was also one he got completely wrong, but it was only because he did not remember the game ever occurring. But then again, the game occurred in 1983, and Noah wasn't born until 2009, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Plus, he has about 50 plus of the Super Bowls memorized. He also completed the questions in a total time of 3 minutes and 26 seconds, and that was with the time it took me to ask the questions, and Noah also telling me what some of the major plays of the game were, as you saw, again, in the clips beforehand. To me, and hopefully to you, this proved that he must have a photographic memory, and I had also learned from the parent after discovering the results that Noah hadn't reviewed these scores in over a year. So just to put that in perspective for everyone. So lastly, here are my sources. If anyone has any questions or anything they would like to just say, please comment them down below. I hope everyone enjoyed the case study because I know I really enjoyed making it, and I know Noah really liked helping me out, and I hope everyone has a great day.